Alright, this is lesson 7.1. We're going to look at a couple of the problems in this lesson as soon as I get me a bigger pen here. Alright, so let's start with one like, let's do number 18, and that is 3 minus 5 times the quantity 2m minus 5 equals negative 2. Alright, so again, according to the rules, in fact, they give you the rules on page 396. Step 1 is use the distributive property. So that's what we're going to do here. We're going to distribute that 5. Don't forget, negative 5 times a negative 5 is positive. Then we're going to combine like terms. We're going to work at isolating the variable, getting the m by itself. And that goes away. We end up with negative 10m equals negative 30. Divide by negative 10, divide by negative 10, and m equals a positive 3. Okay? Okay, let's look at 22. Try to hit a couple of the problems that may give you a little bit of a struggle. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to multiply this whole thing by the common denominator in order to get rid of the fraction. And in this case, let's see, 3 and 4, they all go into 12. So we're going to multiply everything by 12. Okay, now we'll just start canceling. So we'll do that and get a 4, that and get a 3, that and get a 2, that and get a 3. So let's go ahead and get 8x minus 9 equals 2x plus 63. Then we go ahead and manipulate plus 9, so 8x equals 2x plus 72. Bring this one over, minus 2x gives me 6x equals 72. Divide by 6, x equals 12. Alright, let's look at number 33. X cubed plus 5x squared plus 6x equals 0. Alright, we're going to factor out an x because that's common to everything. And then we'll just focus on this. Remember, that means we're going to have 3 answers. So let's just look at this one. Alright, number multiplied together gives me 6, and added gives me 5. Well, there's a couple of them there. I could use 6 and 1, and then 6, okay, 6 times 6, or 6 times 1 gives me a 6, but 6 plus 1 does not give me a 5. What if I made them both negatives? If I made them both negatives, then we would get negative 6 times negative 1 gives me positive 6, but when I add them I don't get that. Okay, so that's not going to work. So let's try 3 and 2. So don't just assume because you found 2 numbers added give you a 6 or multiply give you a 6 that those are the ones that are going to work. Now let's try these. 2 times 3 is 6, 3 plus 2 is 5, so that works. So now I have 3 x's. X equals, when it's outside of the parentheses, you pretty much just assume that it's going to have to equal 0. The next one is negative 3. What makes that 0? The next one is what makes that 0. And those are your A couple answers there, 0, -2, and -3. And finally, let's do number 48. We have an x minus 7 and an x plus 5, and that equals 20. So actually, it equals -20. Alright, so because this is not equal to 0, we have to do the FOIL method and bring this over here. So watch what happens here. We've got f for first, outside, inside, and last. Okay, I'm going to bring this over, so we're going to add 20 to both sides so that that becomes 0 over there. Combine these two. Okay, now we can break this into two binomials because they're equal to 0. And two numbers multiplied together give me 15, added give me a -2. So that's going to be negative and that's going to be positive. So x is going to have to equal 5 or -3 based on those there. And we're done with that one. And finally, let's look at a grouping one. Let's look at x cubed plus 5x squared minus 4x minus 20 equals 0, which is number 52. And there's 4 terms there, so we're going to group each of those. So we're going to factor out an x squared, and we're left with an x plus 5. And we're going to factor out a 4, and we're left with x plus 5. Now remember, again, this is the hard part. When there's a negative there, here, when we factor a 4 out, this one is going to change sign. It's going to change to a plus 5, so that when we factor that 4 out, -4 times 5 is -20. -4 times x is our -4x that we had. So make sure that you look back and make sure your signs are the same. And one of the things you'll notice that if your signs are different, you probably did something wrong because these need to be the same. Then we take what's outside the parenthesis, put it in parentheses, and what was inside, write it just once. And then we can look at this as the difference of two squares. And we get 3 answers because that's what it says up here. X is going to be -2 for this one, +2 for this one, and -5 for that one. And we're done with that. Okay, so that's it for the problem set for 7.1.